David covered all, ladies and gentlemen. Brian Schumacher on tenor, Jim Eckhoff, drums, Gabriel Espinosa, and bass, and Jason Anderson. One more award, and I can't say enough for this next presenter. I can't say enough about the talents of this next presenter, a Hall of Famer, multi-instrumentalist, educator, vocalist. I want to call her a scat singer extraordinaire because a lot of people sing scat, but she knows what notes she's singing. You know, she knows what she's doing, not just going with the sounds. She's extraordinary. CJC Hall of Fame inductee, here to present the next word, Susie Maget.
Well, it's just so wonderful to see everybody here.
Excuse me, let me push it comes out.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. And I have long been a supporter of the Community Jazz Center. I used to be involved in the jam sessions before my teaching schedule got a little out of control. But I always enjoy coming to these events because it is like a big happy family getting back together again once a year. And it's so good to see everybody here. I am here and so proud to be here to present the award to my very amazingly talented sister, Marcia Maget. And she and I have been playing music together since, well, I think we did our first gig when I was 6 and you were 7. Our parents are both jazz musicians and music educators. My mom is here this evening. Flew in from St. Louis. I cannot possibly explain in any kind of words that make sense the rapport that happens when you start playing together at that young of an age, and to play together for so many years as well. It's just an incredible, you don't need to talk about anything, it just happens. And Marcia came to Des Moines to go to Drake University back in the 70s, and she has played with so many different cool groups here. Most notably the Midwest Express at Ernie's Urban Lounge. That's going back in the day. And of course with D'Artagnan Brown in many different combinations, large groups and small groups. And she and I had a pretty cool group down on Court Avenue for many years at Maget. That was fun. But the thing about Marcia is that she plays a million instruments. She plays saxophones, she plays piano, she's an excellent singer. You don't hear her sing too often, but she's a very good singer. Great part singer as well. And she also plays flute. And none of these instruments are secondary. A lot of times you'll have a sax player who plays flute. It's not that way with Marcia. Her flute playing is extraordinary as well. She just succeeds in all of them. She also is an amazing composer and arranger. I have notes here about some of those things. Let me see. The thing that blows me away about her compositions is that I've never heard anything like them before. The melodies, the way she phrases, and especially the harmonic, the chords, the harmonic motion, the ideas that I would have never thought of. And I'm a composer myself, but I'm just always blown away by that. I think it's just so truly, truly unique. And her arranging is also super cool. I've heard her put instruments together that again, they're not traditional in any way. She has arranged for many, many groups out in, she lives in San Francisco now, but she was here for many, many years. And she arranges for many studio productions of different jazz groups and other related musics. She's arranged for the Asian American Jazz Orchestra, for Jorge Santana, and she's been in San Francisco how many years now, Marcia? 30 years already? Wow. And She's played with so many people there, Carlos Santana, Jorge Santana, Wayne Wallace, Lester Chambers, who is a really cool soul funk guy from the 70s, and Pete Escovedo, just to name a few, and many of her own groups. She covers many, many different styles, and will be featured soon. I think it probably says this in the program. Will be featured, tell me a little bit about that. Be featured in the...
It's a documentary on Cesar Chavez.
A documentary on Cesar Chavez, and she did some of the arrangements in that and actually appears in that. That'll be presented in New York.
At Harvard.
At Harvard in March. So she's done a lot of things, especially for such a small package. And I'm really, really proud of her, both as my sister, as a woman in the jazz field, being an influence to young women players. She's a marvelous educator, runs a school out there called Miraflores Music, where she teaches many, many students, just like Dave and myself here at Creative Music Studio. The education is super important. And she covers all kinds of styles, Latin, jazz, funk. It just goes on and on and on. I won't talk any more about that because you'll hear that when she plays. And I'm just very, very proud of you and happy to be presenting this award to Marcia Miget.
We have a lot of great people over here in Des Moines. A lot of time, and it all started 60s, 70s, 80s, all these people that came before us, you know. She was one of those at the start of this jazz renaissance.
And while playing in the jazz band, Bob called me into his office very soon after the first days of school and said, "Somebody I want you to meet." And here's this very short gal with bib overalls on, and he said, "Meet, this is Marcia Miget. She plays woodwinds." And I went, "Oh, okay, great." But then we sat in the section, and we were all playing together for the next year, and I went, "Oh, great."
I was working out at Ernie's Urban Lounge, and probably early in '75, and they would come in, a lot of students come in from Drake University, and she was one of the students that came in, but far excelled most of those players. Yeah, so that was the first time I met her.
It was very interesting because she had a very different kind of musical family that I didn't know at first, but her knowledge obviously was pretty stratospheric.
First of all, she would come in and practice Charlie Parker solos, and that was a way of warming up for her. She would learn Charlie Parker solos to the letter. How impressive is that?
She was, very talented, and we knew that right away. And not only saxophone, but she played great flute, I might add.
In that time of fusion music, right, when swing and Latin music, rock and roll, blues, all of these forms were kind of congealing into something new, and the ferment was deep. But the interesting thing about Marcia is that it didn't matter who they were. She could play with anybody and make great music.
Now, some of the places we played that I remember, of course, would be So's Mother. I remember playing up there.
And the nice thing about So's Mothers is it was very eclectic. Get everybody from, Chick Corea or Marcia Ball in the blues or somebody like that. Really amazing variety. We played at Hoyt Sherman Place. We played at Drake University. In fact, Marcia, our very first concert was at Drake University together with Lenny Hudson.
And also we played at Ernie's Urban Lounge.
The Urban Lounge, yes. The Urban Lounge probably was at circa probably late 60s into about maybe 80 or something. The quintessential, basically African-American music and drinking bar.
And it was really a hell of a group at that time. They were really doing good. And of course we had Big Mike singing and a little bit of Bobby Parker was a piano player.
male or female, the energy that she brought was pretty intense. Made all the jam sessions, all the music, her composition house, it raised the level of the singing.
She was very inspiring to work with.
I thought she was very adept. She was swinging, she played real hard, and then she could also play very pretty. She could do both.
Yeah, one other thing. We've been talking about her as a musician, and that's considerable, but also we are also mother and father together. And our son this year is 40, and our daughter's 36. So yes, both our children are great musicians, but secondly, they're great people.
I'm just so proud that she's being inducted in Jazz Hall of Fame. You know, it's great.
Her contribution here transcends music, actually, because an inspiration, what you do for another person, and especially for a child, and helping them discover who they are and in the world of expression, you can't put a value on that. That is Marcia. If you were able to see her hundreds of students who come out on the other end in California are now in great jobs all over the world, you'd know. So Des Moines, feel proud of what we have produced.
Greater Des Moines Community Jazz Center proudly presents Marcia Maget, inducts Marcia Maget into the Jazz Hall of Fame. This award is presented in recognition of significant contributions to the jazz community in the Greater Des Moines metropolitan area. You have truly inspired the past, present, and future generations. Presented this 21st day of October in the year 2018. Marcia Maget.
Wow. What a friendly place. Well, first of all, I just want to thank Community Jazz Center for honoring me. It just touches my heart. And especially Abe Goldstein and John KRANTZ for all the effort that they've made to make this happen. Thank you. I also just want to say now that the musicians that will be performing with me are D'Artagnan will come and join me for a duo. And D'Artagnan has, of course, returned here to Des Moines and has been actively working with students in the public school, doing what we love best, teaching jazz. I'm also going to have Susie come and join me and play, and of course, you know, she is the person who does all the classes along with Carol Gale, Creative Music Studio. Pete Simonson just returned here to Des Moines, and Pete and Susie and I played many, many years together, so he will be joining me. Thank you. And then Jason Danielson, who's been playing all night. I've been very impressed. I just met him, and we had a great practice session, so I'm looking forward to playing with him. It seems like only yesterday that I arrived as a college student at Drake University. And my memories as a jazz musician remind me of all the great musicians and the educators who contributed to my growth. And especially all the audiences who were so receptive to what we were doing. We had house gigs, we were playing all the time, and people really supported us. And here we are again tonight. Look at all the support. It's great. As a performer, I strive to look for new ways of expressing myself. And as an educator, my role is to guide students to find their musical identity through improvisation. And this process requires a willingness to make mistakes and learn as you go. So, like as when we read music, it's like reading a book. When we improvise music, it's like having a conversation. And this is lots of fun for me. And I am fortunate to be able to start many students when they're 5 or 6 years old and have these conversations with them until they graduate from high school. And so I get to know them really well, and it's a beautiful experience. I really enjoy it. I think as I received the award, I think the real reward goes to CJC and the performers and educators who continue to keep jazz alive here in Des Moines. I think we should give those, everybody. That's really what it's about. I think in closing, I just want to tell you a quote by Natalie Goldenberg that tells you the story of my journey. Follow what you love, and it will take you where you need to go. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to invite D'Artagnan up here now to play a song with us. Many years as jazz artist and resident for the National Endowment of the Arts. One of the residencies that we had was in Tucson, Arizona, and we visited the town just south of the border, and we visited Nogales.
Name of the town.
And so we wrote this song called Nogales. I really wanted to do it because, first of all, my mom's here and I want to honor my mom. Will you stand up, please, Joan Boucher? Please stand up. Yes. Thanks, Mom. This is a song that I learned from her husband, my dad, Bud Boucher. And it's called Swingin' Shepherd Blues.
Oh, I like that. I know that piece.
We're going to close with a medley of two songs that I've combined together from my CD, Marcia Maget Discovery. By the way, we do have CDs over by the front door. One is the album Marcia Maget Discovery. The other one is a new single that I just released called Dock of the Bay. And another one's coming out at the end of this month called Cruisin'. And many of you know the producer who helped me with this. He used to live here. His name is Chris Davis, a very well-known jazz producer in Connecticut now. So.
Marsha Majay, ladies and gentlemen. Marsha Majay, Susie Majay, Pete Samuelson, and Tracy Jamison. Give it up for Marsha Majay.
Thanks, you guys, and I want to invite you, if you want to hear those two songs that you just heard, they're on the Marsha Majay CD. Discovery on your way out. Thanks so much again for everything. I really enjoyed myself.
That was beautiful. Thank you, Marsha. And yes, she has CDs for sale. There are other CDs for sale. And I need to remind everybody, if you bid on one of the silent auction items, get up there and settle up with Penny.
What a treat.
That's it. That concludes our evening here. Thank you for supporting the CJC and Jazz in Des Moines. We'll see you all next year.
Very nice, very nice.